Diary entry number 1. Realizing that you're not that desirable. And now this title, I don't even know if I actually like it, but I feel like this is such an in the moment situation that I want to talk about it and I want to express myself and I want to get into it. But for a little bit of some context to who I am and what this is a space. This is a safe space for me to just express some feelings I've been feeling, and not to say that I don't share it with my friends. It's just that I love talking so much about issues for hours and days, and I don't feel like people want to hear so much about it. Not to say that, they can't handle it. It's just that even I just talking to them about it, I feel like, oh, like I'm also tired of talking about it to you, because I feel like it's always the same points being spoken. It's always the same feeling. It's like, okay, I'll always mention when something new happens, but I feel like I want to express it here to kind of release even more feelings that I have, because here I feel like I film it, I take it in one go, it's done, and then I can talk about it as many times as I want. Again, because I have new opinions that form, because I have so much things that go inside my head, and saying it out loud or expressing it through forms of creativity is something I love to do, because it releases and relieves me from stress, because I'm a person who stresses a lot, and right now I've been suppressing my stress for the past 2 weeks, so it's just I need to release a few of it before it builds up and I actually lose my mind, But it's to say that this is a place where you're going to get the vaguest context, but the realest, most vulnerable talks on the internet, I'd like to say, where you talk about things that you've done and things of how you reacted and how you're going through it and what you're feeling and how you're going to fix it. And I'm just talking about how I'm trying to be the best person that I can be, because it's very possible, it's very capable. I know I can do it. It's just that sometimes I want to talk about these issues and I want to talk about how it happens. I need to get through it. I need to do better. And I feel like it's something that, excuse me, I know that the internet has enough people being vulnerable, but I feel like people not need someone, but I say it's like, I'd like to be an example. Hopefully I will be this example of someone who's vulnerable, but who also as well will try to be better. And I feel like that's what we need with being vulnerable, is that you're vulnerable and you're being relatable, of course, but you're actively trying to get better when you know you can be. It's like, if you're capable of getting better and you know that you can get better, try and get better, because when you do, I feel like it sets such a good example to our generation. I definitely do, because I feel like, being vulnerable on the internet is something that I do feel like it's horrible, but at the same time, it's one of the best things ever happen, because you learn so much about people that you would never, ever, ever realize. There's something I've just could never imagine of learning if it weren't for TikTok, because truly speaking, I need people to be vulnerable and honest about so many things, because there's so many things you're not going to learn in one go, because you're in different planets, like different continents, different countries. It's practically as if you're in your own world. You don't know what happens on the outside. You're not aware of everything that happens in the world. And so having the space of being vulnerable, of letting out, lashing out, expressing things like, who's abusive, what it could look like, things like that, having that type of encouragement on the internet is something I strive for. And honestly, I feel like this, I want to call it, not the podcast, because low-key I need a microphone to do this, but I want to call this I want to call it girl talk, but at the same time, I don't want it to be something that's considered redundant because I call it girl talk, but I want to call it something that's more about me. I want to call it the Girl Talk Society, maybe, something like that, but I don't know. That is enough about what I actually want to talk about, but this is diary entry number 1, and it's realizing that you're not desirable. And let me be so honest and really, really honest here. You're not going to know about me, and you're not going to know about every single detail of any story that I mention here. You're not going to know my location. You're not going to know my voice. You're not going to know who I am. This is going to be as anonymous as it can be. If you happen to know who I am, if you find out who I am, let's just say that, let's be known, this channel is going to be gone, because that's just what it is. But other than that, I highly doubt that I will be reckoned, because I I will be recognized because I will try so hard to avoid doing what I'm doing in the best way possible. But anyways, that's why I'm important. I think what you mostly need to know is that I'm a black woman. I'm a black woman and I'm a dark-skinned black woman. And that's really all you need to know. Really. I don't think I need to go any further than that. If I go any further than that, I feel like, you're just going to identify me easier. But yeah, let's talk about it. Something that I've realized, and yeah, something that I've just realized is that moving, you kind of notice that, in different countries, you're attractive and you consider attractive, you consider unattractive. And that's what I've been getting, that's how I've been feeling. And I know this. I think everybody knows this, that, in different areas, in different spaces, you could be considered beautiful. And I've known this because I travel here and there. So I know a little bit about different places, different spots. I know that I'm perceived beautiful in some place and I'm perceived like, oh, extremely undesirable in another place. But one thing about me, and I don't want to get too much of my philosophy because I tried to do that the first time I tried to record this, but I have this like philosophy that I want to try and get into at some point, at some day when I feel like I want to talk about it. But the idea is that I'm so for the idea of acceptance. You accept what you are as of that moment. Is that at that moment, if you deem yourself to be ugly, you are ugly. And it's not to say that you are ugly, it's to say that you feel that you're ugly because you feel that your self-worth is at as it is low as of that moment. And to me, it's perfectly valid. And I feel like people constantly trying to remind you that you're not, when you do not feel it yourself, I just feel like it just doesn't help out. I'm not going to get too much into it because there's a reason why I'm saying this, and it's to say that the way I'm saying this right now is probably not the best, most articulate way to say it, but I'll get that at some point. But it's just to say that I'm for the idea that if you find yourself beautiful, you find yourself beautiful because it's all about self-worth. No matter what, where you go, where you are, you'll be either considered beautiful or ugly. It's at the end of the day, perception changes everywhere you go. So at that point, there's no point in actually caring. Same goes to people, same goes to friends, families. It's like for me personally, you tell me that I'm ugly. You tell me that, okay, low key, but like you have like a double chin or some shit like that. And you tell me that and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I do. I don't, but I do, I'll be like, okay, that's fine. Like, that as an example. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. To me, it's in my mind, I'm just like, what do I do with that information? I don't know what you want me to say. Thank you. Thank you for pointing out. I don't know, because personally me, no matter what, I think because of how my parents raised me, they raised me, I guess you could say, in a manner that I was free and I was never criticized for being overly confident. And as a kid, I was overly confident. I was doing whatever nonsense, thinking I was the absolute shit. Even though in reality, I'm going to be so real, I probably wasn't. Like, I see my videos and I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. But I was so creative as a kid that honestly speaking, my parents just never discouraged me for it. And I'm really grateful for that because it pushed me into being someone who just won't care about people's perception, because I always loved what I did and my parents loved what I did. So I guess you could say from then on, I just never felt that way. Now, it's not to say, I think that this did not apply to my siblings. It definitely did not, but yeah, definitely applied to me. So to say that, it's not an easy concept and it's definitely something I need to get into, but it's a concept I definitely want to fight for. And hopefully one day I can definitely make it like, a good articulated video about it. But in any case, in this new place, I am at uni and I realized that, wow, I'm being perceived as gorgeous here. And it's really weird because, in high school, I was considered where I was, particularly speaking. I don't think this should have been in any case in any area, because I feel like in a different area, I definitely would have been perceived way, way, way differently. But in this place, I was considered undeniable because I don't know how to say this. Maybe this is a little hot take. I don't know, but it feels this way, but probably isn't. But when women or girls call you beautiful, they're the only ones that call you beautiful, but men don't. And it could be because, men just don't have the balls to do it. Like, so many things. There's so many things to get into, right? But to say, I feel like most of my life, it's women that's always been calling me beautiful. And I'm like, wow, thank you so much. It's like, oh my gosh. And I've always, thanked them because I'm like, wow, it's like, it's nice to see you see what I'm seeing, right? But I can't help but feel that not hearing the opposite gender say anything, I feel like it kind of does something to your brain. Maybe it's just me. Hey, maybe it's just me, but I feel like hearing from it and it's not. It's, I guess you could say it's kind of seeking male validation, but to a certain extent, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like, hearing it from both sides is completely different from hearing it from only one side, I don't know if that's just me, but right now I'm feeling that way. So what is happening is that, I'm being considered beautiful. Like people are looking at me, people are asking for my socials, and I'm like, oh wow, like this is a very different experience. It's not happening to me. It never happened. And did I like it? I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to be so honest as that I thought I wanted this idea of having a social life, of being all these ways, but I'm going to be so honest. I don't, because guys at uni, they sexualize you, and a lot of them just don't have manners, and they objectify you so easily. And I'm like, wow, I don't want that. I really don't. And it really took me a second to really think about that, because I feel like, oh wow, like, I'm finally getting attention. I'm finally getting more followers. I'm finally, getting all these things. Like, I've been waiting for this moment, because, you're seeing it. You see it on social media. You see it everywhere. You're like, when is it my turn? And then you get the turn. And I'm like, oh wow, I don't like this at all. This doesn't fit me at all. This doesn't suit me. And maybe it's a different experience, and it's a new experience. Maybe I'm just trying to get used to it, but my body just immediately freezes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't. And it's crazy. And the title feels as though I'm speaking of the opposite situation, but I promise you, I'm going to get to the point where you're going to be like, oh, I get what you mean. I'm being perceived a certain way, and I'm being told that I'm gorgeous and everything. And it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't feel like it's real. But it's not to say that I care about what they're saying. It's just how they're saying it. It's that, and it's men that saying that, like, I'm getting male validation. I finally got it. And it's insane, because wow, a lot of them just they sexualize you, and they objectify you, and they don't care. They tell you these things, and they don't think about it. And I don't want to be the one to be like, oh, by the way, what you're saying is quite offensive and insulting to me. I don't think what you mean is a compliment at all. I feel actually uncomfortable saying that. What you just got here, I'm so sorry to tell you this, that no matter how much of I don't want to say I'm an activist, but I say that I'm not someone that really stands for people being like, sexist, misogynist and everything. In this case, it's not easy to do it, especially when you're in a crowd full of men. That's not a safe spot. That's not a safe space. Unless I'm being backed up, that is not a safe space for me to do that. So I wasn't going to do it. I just said, okay, and I moved on. And everyone just laughed, and I was like, okay, that's okay. Okay, I guess that's how it is. I don't like it. I don't ever want to put myself in that position again. I regret not as much, because I did have fun doing what I did to get to that point. Because long story short, I guess you could say, we were at, it was a place, I danced, people were wowed, and basically that is how I got it, right? I love dancing, I love doing my nonsense, and so that was fun. But at the same time, many guys associate, women dancing in a certain type of way to one thing. And then the thing is, because I'm a quite religious person, I actually am quite religious, I wouldn't. And so when I think about it that way, I'm like, I wouldn't do what you think I do. I feel, I don't know what I felt, but at that moment I was like, wow. I started to think, like, when my dad used to, be like, you're not allowed to wear this, and you're not allowed to that. Or when my brother used to say, you're not allowed to wear this, you're not allowed to wear that. Or when my mom used to tell me, like, if you wear this, you'll be perceived this way. I knew that. I knew I was aware, but, until you actually experience how they actually treat you, because I thought it was really bad when I was like a kid, because I think like older men are just weird. Obviously, they just grow and they just say things. I just thought, okay, they just did it because you're not a little kid. At this age now, when it's happening, I'm just so flabbergasted. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just experience? What did they just do to me? I don't like it. I can't express it enough. I didn't like it. And this is the part where I'm just supposed to say, like, it's terrible. But you see, the men that I attracted at that point, they're not even the men I'm interested in. And I started to think that, wait, if this is the guy that I liked and he did this to me, would I actually be like, would I like it? And then I got really lost in my thoughts because I was like, wait, what do I actually want? Do I actually like this? Do I actually need this? What am I feeling? I'm a confused being. I don't know how to explain that, but I'm a confused being. I don't, I need to be, I need to express my thoughts in the moment because I have to jot down everything down because otherwise I start to forget like snippets of everything because I don't know, am I repressing those feelings? I don't know, but it just happens. And yeah, yeah, I'm considered attractive now. And with that, I feel that way. And so now I'm gonna get into the part where I'm being so vulnerable here. Like just before that was more just the thoughts in the moment. It was not too bad. This one is so I'm preparing myself mentally because when I expressed this one time in my head, I cried so bad. I forced myself to cry it out because I was holding it in. And because I'm so used to doing that and it's such a bad habit, I hate it so much about myself. Is that as a kid, I hated the ideas that, oh, cry makes you a crybaby. I hated being a crybaby because I used to cry all the time at school and I hated that so much that I I thought I wasn't capable but of holding it in and never crying at school. And I held it in so much and I forced it out of it pretend I was unfazed and I thought I was incapable of doing that until I realized I actually got it. I, I can't cry anymore without forcing myself to cry because I hold it in so much that my body's like, no, it's not that bad. The situation's not that bad. It's not bad enough for you to cry. Like I'm losing sensitivity and I'm like, wait, I'm not in with my emotions. And I don't like that. Oh my gosh, I'm really like okay, let's get into it, okay? So I'm not gonna say where I come from, we're not saying where I am, but I guess you could say fill in the truths and you'll figure it out. But I guess you could say I I'm someone who I say I have obviously I have a type, right? I have a type that I like to go for, and it's just is what it is. And this type, and let's just say that I don't discriminate. I generally don't discriminate in the sense that you see when it comes to race wise and all. I don't. I'm not picky. I really am not picky. I think I'm more in the case of like if you feel the like physical traits or the personality traits like characterize everything. If you feel those traits, the race, I really don't care about the race. Like truly speaking, I truly don't care. So in that case, I don't discriminate, right? It's just to say that the race that I go for a lot, quite more often than not, because it just is what it is. They do not want me, right? And let's just say I'm someone who gets into crushes very easily, very, very easily, very, 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 very easily. And when I say very, very easily, it's not. You see how I'm the type of person who'll say like it's not like this, but it literally is this. I'm someone who I don't fall in love very easily. I don't think I've been falling in love in my entire life. But I'm gonna be so honest. I fall into full crushes so easily, and I fall for people who, in the last 4 years or so, have not liked me back. In the past 4 years that I've had, about I want to say 6 crushes, none have liked me back at all, and they're all the same race. And how I feel about this, I actually don't even know. I actually don't even know. I'm trying to close my eyes and let myself just feel the emotions I'm feeling right now, because I do feel like I'm on the verge of actually being in tears. And it's to say that I had this breakdown a few days ago where I was just like, I'm getting male validation. It's from men I don't even want. That's the worst feeling ever, is that I'm not attracting the guys I want. And I think, oh, that's insane. Why not? Why not? And then I finally did. I attracted this one guy, and I'm like, wait, I find you so attractive. Wait, but then I thought about it for 2 seconds because I'm someone who also overthinks. So I thought about it, and I thought about it really good, and I was like, wait, he could literally be horrible to me. And because of how much I love watching romances and I love listening to people's thoughts on romances and people falling in love and getting into relationships, I enjoy that. I love that so much for them. And I watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want this too. I've seen how much someone has gone through over a breakup. I don't want it. Quite honestly, I feel like the more I'm thinking, oh, I could like this person, I feel like I could like them a lot. I think about it and I'm like, this guy, he is actually really good looking. And I know people find him attractive because people have told me they found him attractive. It's so over if we were to date. I was like, oh, because I'm not someone, I want to be someone who's as trusting as possible. So honestly speaking, if you go out to parties, if you go out with friends and you feel this way, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm not going to tell you to stay off of it or anything like that. But I do feel like I would be the type of person to be like, low key, high key, if he's going to cheat. I'm convinced he would. And I hate that so much. I'm like, that's the first place my brain went to when I was talking to him. I was like, wait, it's like, let me not even try so hard with him because I'm like, it's not worth it. He's going to F me up. He's going to ruin me. He's going to hurt my feelings. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking that she's going to be awful to me. I don't know how to I don't know how to express this, but it's such an insane thing. It's like you say this out loud and you're thinking, wait, why are you actually thinking this? It's like, why are you thinking this way? It's because I overthink. I truly believe this because I overthink to the point where it's so concerning, right? And I'm thinking, you need to go to therapy. You need to see a psychologist, vibes. I do, 100%. You know, once I find the money for it, I'll definitely go and definitely try to get better because I definitely do think it's something I need to talk about, get through, figure out my stuff, and definitely get better because I want to improve and I want to get better. But it's to say that there's a point in everything I'm trying to say and why the title is as relevant as it is to say that I'm getting this male validation, but it's not going to the guys that I like. It's not going to the guys I like. It's going towards people. I. It's going towards men that I would want to stay far away from. I would 100% stay far away from because they are more interested in my physique. I know that. I definitely do because the way they talk to me, the conversations are very short. They're not asking me questions to want to get to know me. They're asking me questions to get something out of me. And I know, and I'm aware, and I'm like, okay, cool, thank you. That's nice to hear. Excuse me. It's great to hear. Personally, me, I'm not interested in you and you're not interested in me. You want a specific thing. I don't want a specific thing from you. So I'm going to personally move on from what you just said and not think about it. That's where I'm at. But then you get this one guy. When I met him, I didn't think much about it. I didn't think anything about him. I thought, okay, like, he seems kind of cool, whatever. He makes me laugh. And I tell you, I love a man who can make me laugh. It's like if you're goofy, I love goofy men. And that's something that I really have to deal with because certain men who are goofy tend to be such the worst people imaginable. Is that goofy comes with its own consequence, unfortunately, and I have to deal with these consequences. And when I'm saying I'm being vulnerable in a way that I'm just not proud of, I'm going to be so real and tell you how it's going. This man, I'm not the biggest fan of people who take substances and everything like that, but it's something I had to deal with because I realized that because of how I feel like my parents kind of isolated me from the world, people everybody I know, each do something that obviously isn't good for their health, right? And to me, I have accepted it because I'm like, okay, you know what? It's really relevant to our society, and it's normal for people to do this. It's not really excessive, but a lot of people do it just casually. And if anything, I'd be more worried if they were doing it regularly to the point where I should be worried. They're all right. They're doing okay. I hope it gets better and it improves throughout life. But right now, I feel like they're not in the stage where they want to stop. So, if you don't see the reason to stop, they're not going to stop, right? So I'm not someone who has a right to even say anything about someone doing anything, right? I keep quiet because I'm like, no, that's not my place to do it. It's not. I don't want to. As long as you're not going overboard to the point where your safety's in danger, I'm okay with it, and I will let you be, right? This guy does it, and that's kind of a turn off for me. But then I got a turn on because he has tattoos, and I saw his tattoo, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. And he low-key has he's not muscular, but he's he has a little bit of muscle, and I like guys who have muscles. I like guys who literally have muscles, but him, I was not too mad about. And not to mention that he has I have such a soft spot for men who hold these two character traits. It's the hair color and the eye color. I have such a soft spot to the point where if you have it and you have this goofy personality, I'd be like, oh my gosh, sure. I kind of find you attractive a little bit. I do. And I did for that moment. I kind of did, but not too much. I didn't think too much about it. I really didn't. But honestly speaking, I didn't think much. I was going to treat him as a friend. I really was. Until I was like, wait, I'd low-key want to hook up with him. And I thought about it because I was like, he's so goofy. I love goofy, kind of fun. He's silly, but in a way that I'm like, oh my gosh, for a short term, I'd love it. I'd enjoy it because, I'd want to have first experiences and definitely have fun. So when I thought about it and I looked into it, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to. Until, as I said, goofiness has its own traits. Long story short, his goofiness didn't escape him from being a bigot. And I didn't realize he was a bigot until I realized, oh, you're a bigot. Okay. Because he said he was a bigot. And I was like, oh, you don't have shame. And we're all like, oh, you don't have shame. And I was like, oh, Lord, what is this? And the thing is that, you see, because I'm not part of the LGBTQIA plus community, I will be really honest that I started to realize why people, when it came to racism, they didn't take it as seriously, because it's not something that affects them. So you're kind of you're at a space where your mind's kind of like, wait, I want to fight for this, but at the same time, it's like, right? And I wanted to hold out not because he was being really transparent and just be like a little bigot, but he said something, and I was like, oh, was he being serious? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't sure. That's why I felt the way I felt. But it's not to say to justify, because obviously what I was thinking in that moment was wrong. Because, truly speaking, I'm right. I'm still in a stage where I still find him kind of attractive. I do. If you told me, would you want to smash or pass? I'd be like, smash. I would. But it's not. I need to find the source of shame, because I really do. But honestly speaking, after hearing my friend talk to me, I did realize that, because I did feel like it was wrong, but I was like, I was waiting for him to be racist, because I'm like, I know you are, please just be it. So I can just slap out the crush out of me, because it was not going to have developed into a crush, but it did, because I overthought. When I overthink about things, it becomes something like an obsession. I don't want it to be considered an obsession, but I think so much about everything, every detail, everything like that, to the point where it literally becomes what you could say a crush. And it shouldn't have been. We met once. We were in the same school. It stops there. And yet, what would... I don't know. I really don't know. I feel so ashamed, because I'm like, what was I thinking? Because when my friend was like, I really don't like him. And I'm like, if you don't like him and you don't feel comfortable around him, because she, is talking about, and she's part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and she talks about how she's like, how she felt because she was there that time when he was being a bigot, and she's like, wait, are you serious? And we're like, no, we don't mess around with this. Are you serious? And we're talking to this guy, like trying to be short, and he's like, yeah. And then we're like, what? And the thing is, he's from a different country, and this country, let's be so for real, these people are nothing but filled with little bigots. So we're not surprised. Or like in your country, you could maybe do that, but here you can't mess around with that, right? And we're telling him, and he just didn't mess him up with that. And the thing that I hate myself so much about is that I'm still kind of attractive to him because it hasn't hit me yet, but I'm still, I don't know how to explain it, but slowly but surely, every aspect of him that I liked slowly decreases day by day because I start to realize many things that I just don't like about him. And something, it's just that I felt so ashamed. I was like, why didn't I stop the moment it was like bigot? And I was like, I hated that. And I was like so mad at myself because I was like, you claim to be like, an activist, but you're not. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And so now, although I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, I low-key just don't want to hang out with him because he just like kind of ruins the vibe. He's not really great, right? So we're like, okay, we don't know because it's like, obviously you can learn to not be a bigot. He looks like he's not that serious. He's like, I don't explain it, but he's just that person just like, ultimately, I don't know what he is and I don't want his vibe, but I'm just like, okay, cool. I will let her be and I'll let everybody be. I'm like, I'm just going to leave you out. I'm just going to keep quiet and I could just push back and be like, no, I'll push far away from it. I'm not going to lie to anybody and be like, oh no, I find him ugly or anything like that. But I'm going to be like, honest and be like, no, I'm not going to jeopardize my morals nor my friendship over someone I low-key just want to like I low-key want to fuck. That's it. Like to me, that is not worth it. And the thing is, one of my friends is friends with this guy. And the thing is that you see, we're kind of into this dynamic where, we're not sure what we're feeling about this said guy, but he's kind of friends with him, but not really because like, we just hang out, but we don't. This guy literally asked him if he was attracted to me because I was talking about, I was like, oh yeah, like, before I was like, oh, I low-key find him kind of attractive and everything like that, right? And he was like, oh yeah, like, I asked him about, you and no, like, so we like, to make sure it's not obvious. And then he was like, yeah, I don't do like, she's not my usual type. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, like I should have known that, that Black women at that, and especially dark-skinned women at that, are not, let me actually take away the dark skin for this second, because I feel like in this case, even though it's still valid, it will always be true. Let me take it, I'll just say black women in general, because this one I felt it for sure. I was like, babes, how do you use so much AAVE, but literally hate Black people? I was like, okay, I'm not going to say much about it because I was like, okay, you attract who you attract, you like who you like, whatever. Personally, I find it weird when it comes to specific race-wise, but I was like, I'm not going to get into that, right? The issue I had, I think with myself is that I held his regard to the highest, and that pissed me off because I was like, wait, why do I care so much about what he has to say about me? And I started putting value into him because I recently got male validation. There was a point to everything I was trying to say is that, you see, I received male validation. Wait, what's this? I just missed my preview. I received male validation. And what happened? He literally goes like, yeah, I don't usually date, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, didn't say it to me, but said to my friend. My friend told it to me, and I'm like, I'm not surprised. I'm not really surprised because I did mention it to my friends. I was like, oh, 1 second, let me be so honest. Though there's a huge possibility. The reason why you may have seen there was like maybe a connection. Maybe I thought there was a connection, but the chances are that he will not date me, not do anything with me solely based on my race. There's a huge chance it's going to go that way. And my friends, unfortunately speaking, they haven't encountered enough diverse people to realize that this is a very prevalent issue. One of my friends did recognize because, he goes through it too, and he knows it. The rest didn't. And I perfectly understood. I said, it's normal because, demographics, everything. I understood. I was not offended at all. I said, no worries. It's something we can all learn, that it's just what it is. It's going to be race wise. And trusting me, I'm like, that's fine. Because I was like, to be honest, I needed to realize that I was overthinking it. I didn't actually like him. I didn't want to date him. I just wanted to get with him quickly and then leave. Because I said he'd be a fun time for 2 seconds and that's it. Right? That's it. But even that is like, to me, there's some shame that needs to be held with me saying this, because I still want to do something with him, but I shouldn't. And I will make sure I don't, because actually, like, mentally speaking, and truly actually apologizes and, actually looks into his issues, because he clearly does not look at someone who wants to look into his issues. He looks at someone, he's very comfortable being the way he is, and he will not change as of now. And I'm like, that's perfectly normal. Normal, not to say it's justifiable, but it's normal, because you're at the age where, truly speaking, consequences don't hit you hard enough. They don't. You cannot care, especially when you're privileged. So it's normal. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave it alone. But not going to lie, because as I said, it's that the same type of men that day by day I've had a crush on for so many years, on the same race, not because it's their race, but because they just happen to all fall into almost the same category of personality. Excuse me. They've all not liked me, and not because I'm black, but this one particularly, I can say is a fact because it was said to me. Others, I don't know, and I don't think I want to search too much into it. Otherwise, I'm literally going to be so devastated. But in the case of that, the same demographic does not like me at all, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Honestly, like, I cried so hard. 'Cause I forced myself to cry because I'm like, why aren't you sad? Because my friends that day, when I learned, like, that Babes was not like, I felt that honestly I was losing this battle of, like, him not being attracted to me, but my friends were encouraging it. This was before we all, like, were acknowledging that he was a bigot, but they were trying to push that. I was like, no, I see it. And I was like, I want to believe you, but honestly speaking, I've been so, like, not traumatized, but I want to say, like, I've faced so much rejection in my life when it comes to the same this demographic, that I'm not going to be surprised. But she kept encouraging it. So I was like, I'll believe you. I'll trust you. And I also believe in myself. And I was like, I'm going to believe in myself a little more, because let me tell you, I have to prepare myself for the disappointment. And luckily I did. Definitely, I was correct. She had no ill intent. I know that. It's just that it's the harsh reality. And to be fair, it just is what it is. Am I mad about it? No, I'm just a little bit heartbroken from it. I'm going to get over it. I'm not too mad about it. I will live. But it's to say that I don't know who that is, but okay. It's just to say that I'm just, my friend said it was okay to cry. I didn't cry. I was like, no, it's fine. Like, no, it's fine. It isn't. And I want to tell myself it's not, because I feel like I need to lash it out. Because as I said, I need to reconnect with my feelings and know when, like, if it's sad, it's like, I can cry about it. It's because, not my parents that didn't maybe my parents, I don't know. But I definitely didn't feel like in society, I was allowed to cry. I don't think I was. I didn't feel encouraged to cry. So, I did cry. And also, not to mention that I also wanted to get rid of the idea that I was a crybaby. So taking that away, I want to cry again, and I want to feel sad. So I forced myself to cry, like, definitely. I listened to Envy the Leaves by Madison Beer, and I cried and cried and cried, like, tearing up on the bus. And as I walked home, cried. I cried. I forced myself to let it out, let that headache sink in, because I've been holding it in. Because in my head, I'm just always thinking, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Why am I holding men to such a high regard? Why male validation? Why? What? It's because you're not being picked by your type. You're not being picked by your type, and it's so tiring, because, like, your type doesn't like you. So it's like, you gotta stop. And I think it's the one time that they do, and it's not the same race. It's a different race this time, and they're attractive, and they're just your type and everything like that. You feel like it's a lie, because currently now I'm thinking, if we were to ever get together, it's over. It's over. Cheating. He's gonna cheat. He's gonna cheat on me. he's gonna mess up with me because I don't believe that I'm even capable of having a healthy relationship because I've never gone through it. I've never experienced it. So I'm thinking so much about it. So to me, it's like just, yeah, realizing that you're undesirable to this specific demographic that you keep crushing on. And not to say that it's a criteria, but it continuously is always them because of the space that you're in. It's completely normal. You start to go crazy. And I went crazy because I was like, wait, what is going on? What is happening? And how do I express this to someone without feeling embarrassed, without feeling ashamed, and without people kind of just hushing me out but a little bit, going like, no, you're totally valid. Like, no, I totally get it. And it's like, I want to talk about it for hours because it's a lot. It's a lot to me. And it's like, I can ask myself this, like right now, like I'm already like getting teary. It's like, I literally ask myself the question, why is it that I have to like, why does this world have to be racist? You know, like, I think for this guy, it's particularly speaking, it just really broke me because I was like, okay, yeah, of course, you're this nationality. So it's like, of course, we're not surprised, especially in like the county he was from. I was like, of course, you are, of course. It's like, it's not surprising, but it's like, gosh, don't like, I hate how we got along. I hate that we got along. I hate it so much that we got along because I felt something and I was like, don't feel it, don't feel it, don't feel it, don't feel it. And I did. And now I'm a little bit of a mess. I'm a little bit of a mess. And it's to say that, you know, every day, there's always a new thing with this guy, and it's always weird. It's always off. And I'm trying to stay away. Like, literally, yesterday, we had this discussion. I said, you know what? No, like, if someone else wants to invite him, they can invite him. I will not, I will stop involving him. Stop, girl, like, yeah, you should come. You should come. Then no, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just let it go. Because even him, after sending a text and everything like that, he's more like, he is so, like, he sends me such short answers that I'm like, you know what? He's not even interested. I'm not going to be interested. And it's okay. It's perfectly fine. I'm letting it go. I'm just quickly looking. It's like, would he have looked at? I think it's going to just say, oh, it opened. Well, I don't know. I'm just very lost and confused. But you know what? That's how I felt for the first few days. And yeah.